So this was a surprise to many people following this during impeachment. After winning a key vote to call witnesses, Democrats back down and decide to call no witnesses at Trump's impeachment trial. In 2 impeachment trials of Donald Trump, Democrats widely insisted witnesses were key to a full and fair trial. At the first trial, Republicans stopped any witnesses. At the second trial, Democrats stopped any witnesses. Wow. So, on my Twitter timeline, people were like really going after the Democrats and saying like, why would you do this? This is the weakest bullshit I've ever seen in my life. Now, here's the reality. The Democrats are actually correct not to open the door and call witnesses. Did I really say that? Yes, I did say that. Because the trial, the impeachment could last a year. Because they could literally call hundreds of witnesses. And it's already a foregone conclusion. They're going to lose. They're not even going to come close to getting the 67 votes that they need. They were 10 votes short. So they were actually substantively correct to not take up all of the time in the Senate on a stupid virtue signaling exercise about how Trump is so bad. He's already out of office. It's a waste of time. I'm sorry, it is. It's a total waste of time. There are ways to punish him that are more substantive that could actually work, like invoking the 14th Amendment, banning him from ever holding public office again. So the Democrats were correct to do this. However, they told you every step of the way that this impeachment is vital and necessary and important, and we care so deeply about it, and it's about protecting the integrity of our democracy. Yeah. They told you in no uncertain terms, this is the most substantive thing we can do, the most policy-focused thing we could do. This is an existential threat to democracy if he gets away with this. So they hyped it up like it was super duper important. It's not a virtue signaling exercise. It's super substantive and important. See, now that's why this was Weasley what they did. Because if you really believe that it's that important as they said it was, well then of course there's no question, and of course you'd call witnesses. Because you want, a full accounting, and you want to get everybody on the record, and you would think that, well, telling the whole story makes it more likely that we'd be able to have justice in this case. But they didn't do it. So what does that tell you? You know what it tells you? They knew all along that it wasn't super duper important and vital and existential and it's to protect our democracy. They knew all along. What they admitted with this maneuver is that, yes, this was just a virtue signaling exercise. This was just a virtue signaling exercise. It was just a way for us to be like, Trump's really bad and he's still really bad, and I'm going to tell you that he's so bad. He's bad. He's bad. Do you like me the more I say that? See, this is the thing. That's their whole, the entire party was defined by that. Trump's really bad. Got it. What else are you in favor of? We got nothing. We're not going to talk about Medicare for all. We're not going to talk about free college. We're not going to talk about the Green New Deal. We're not going to talk about any of those things because we also have donors that we have to please and we're not in favor of those things. So what if I just distract you and virtue signal all day by saying Trump is really bad and you agree that Trump is really bad? So now you're going to think that I'm really fighting for you in other ways even though I'm not. But Trump's really bad. So here I go. I'm going to pretend like this is incredibly important and vital for the health of our democracy and it's an existential threat and there needs to be justice. And I'm going to prove to you that we care deeply about this fight and I know we won the right to have witnesses now, but we're not going to call any witnesses. They never believed the shit they said, and if you fell for it, you're a sucker. Because as I said early on, should there be a punishment for what Trump did? Of course there should be. No doubt about it. He did talk out of both sides of his mouth and egg on an attempted insurrection. No doubt about it. So what do you do about that? Well, he's already on his way out of office. He's gone. He's done. That would be the victory of impeachment is really, let's get him out of office. But he's already out of office. So, okay. What should we do next? Make sure he can never hold public office again. You could have done that through the 14th Amendment, and you could have done it with 60 votes instead of 67 votes. You would have at least had a prayer. But they didn't do it, again, because it's not about anything substantive. They knew this wasn't important. They knew this was an empty, hollow virtue signaling exercise. But this fits the brand, the anti-Trump brand. This is how they can pretend like they're fighting for you, even though they're not fucking fighting for you. So it's so immensely Weasley. Listen, they were correct. They were correct to say no witnesses. But that same mindset should have been the mindset that said, We're not even going to try for impeachment again because he's going to be out of office. If anything, we'll just do the 14th Amendment and make sure he never holds public office again. You see what I'm saying? There's a show angle to this, and there's a substantive angle to this. And the Democrats always pick the show angle with no substance. With no substance. Whereas, my perspective is you should always pick the substance angle and forget the show. Fuck the show. Who cares about the show? The substance enough is important. And sometimes you fight and you lose, but if you're fighting in a substantive way, that's all that matters. This was not a substantive fight. If it was a substantive fight and they thought it was a substantive fight, they would have called witnesses. So you knew it was virtue signaling all along. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. They won the right to call witnesses, then they said, we don't want to call any witnesses. They knew it was virtue signaling. And they knew this could go on for a year, and they knew, okay, that's a little too much. If it's as important as you guys said it was, you would have called the witnesses. But you know it's not as important as you pretended like it was. They're going to play everybody for suckers. That's what they do. They play everybody for suckers. They'll give you the show. They'll give you the kabuki theater. I'm good and they're bad and Trump's bad and we care about democracy. They'll give you all that shit. But, when it comes down to really fighting on the things that matter, I hear crickets. All this time, all this effort should be put into getting everybody the $2,000 checks. Recurring, by the way, is what I think really should be in it. Or $15 minimum wage. It's not a coincidence that at the same time Biden was backing off the $15 minimum wage, the Democrats are wagging their finger and saying, we're going to impeach him! And this is the existential threat of our time. It's like a diversion, Like here, I'm buckling on the actual core substantive issues that would help so many people while I give you a show which tricks you into thinking I'm such a crusader for what's right. It's sad, man. It really is sad. Listen, again, they made the right decision to not call any witnesses. But that just proves they were lying about how important they thought it was and how important they told you this case was. They knew from the beginning it wasn't important. They knew. They fucking knew. So, everybody needs to understand what's going on in that Democratic mind and how gross and weaselly this is. And, time to move on is really the point. Trump's gone. He might run again in 2024. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, he's gone. So your politics can't simply be defined by Trump bad. I know that's hard for a lot of people, but I guarantee you, if you leave that behind and you start focusing on the issues, it'll be a hell of a lot better.